Hi everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and I'm going to give you a little look into the differences between gum paste and fondant. Alright, I got my two lumps here. I've got my fondant labeled F, gum paste is GP, and I'm going to pull them apart first to show you how they stretch. So gum paste, little stretchy, a little smushy, but not a whole lot. You know, it kind of tears easily. Fondant, you get a much longer stretch out of it and it's way softer. Can you see how that wad is sagging now that I put it down? Okay, and that sag is something that I personally can't stand when decorating. So I'm going to show you the difference again. I'm making little nail shapes out of gum paste and fondant, and then I'm going to stand them up. And we're going to check on them in a few minutes, and you're going to see how just the settling that happens with fondant. So I don't like to use it for sculpting. I'm going to make you guys a little snowman, just a little figure. So you can see the differences there as well. So I took a ball of each, ram them through with my lollipop stick, and then I'm going to just keep on building it, okay? And I feel like, though, the two of them, the white of the fondant is brighter and a cleaner, crisper white than the white of the gum paste. You know, if you're making decorations out of gum paste and use white, no one's going to be like, hey, that's slightly eggshell. You know, it's not going to happen, so don't worry. But I do feel like the white of the fondant is a little bit brighter. So I'm making, like I said, I'm making my snowman. I'm trying very hard, guys, to keep them the same size, you know, as close to the same size as possible with the balls that I'm doing and the things that I'm making. I'm going to compare them to just try to make it as even as possible. And I know some people out there love to decorate with fondant, and I always use gum paste. So you can see they're pretty much the same height there. I feel like gum paste works better, but, you know, here's just, you'll see the difference, all right? Look at our little nails we made. You can see already the fondant has just sagged down on itself. It's not as tall anymore. So I'm going to stretch it back up, make it the same height again. We'll revisit them again later, because why not? It's kind of fun. Okay, when you mix food coloring into fondant and gum paste, both of them are going to get softer. It's just the nature of the game. The more you knead anything, it's going to get softer and more stretchy, and the more you add any type of coloring to it, it's going to get more stretchy. This is gum paste right now that I'm doing. So as you see, when I cut it apart, it forks apart pretty nicely. It just goes apart and just stays in its little area. It doesn't really stick to my knife or anything. I didn't do anything special to my knife, so there's no Crisco or anything like that on it. No cheating. Alright, this is fondant. As you can see, I'm having a slightly harder time rolling it. It kind of mushes easier because it's so freaking soft. Now that I added a color to it, when it's soft and stretchy, that's perfect for covering a cake. But if you're looking for precise shapes, that is not so good. Alright, so I'm cutting it, trying to do it just like I did the other ones again, trying to make sure the cuts are the same and everything. And it's a little bit more like when the pieces touch each other, they get stuck to each other again, like it wants to go back together. So I'm kind of have to pull those little branches apart. And I tried to make them all, you know, the same thickness, trying to be fair. So now I'm going to put those aside and let them sit for a while. Okay, I'm going to just let them harden up because snowmen need nice stiff arms. But I'm going to give them the same amount of time to dry. This is gum paste again. I'm making a little black top hat for my snowman. Rolled it out, cut a circle, made a little cylinder to go on top, and then stuck it on the paper towel to dry. Now I'm going to do it again with the fondant. Okay, you see me trying to pull a piece off. It's very stretchy and gooey. This stuff was sticking to my fingers like freaking crazy, guys. It was making me nuts. Because especially, like I said, it gets softer the more you mess with it. Again, I'm trying to match them up, make them even, make sure they're the same size. It was a little too tall, so I trim it off. I'm trying to make sure it's even. But like I said before, the more food coloring you add to either one of them, the softer and more gooey it's going to become. This was definitely the case here because when you need a black color, as some of you guys already know, you have to add a lot of black to get a good black. All right, that was our time check right there. It is 12:38 in the afternoon, okay? And we're going to give our little gumdrops here a visit again. You can see it's slightly shorter already. It hasn't been all that long. Okay, our snowmen have sat for a little bit, so I'm going to give them some little pilot holes for their arms. I'm just using the pokey tool, just sticking it straight in there, wiggling around so they have room to fit in there. Okay, and I'm going to stick the hats on top. They've sat for a little bit. And the brims seem to be pretty solid and pretty stiff, or at least stiff enough. Okay, I'm having a hard time. When I pushed it in, I accidentally like misshaped the hat on the fondant side. You can see how smushy it was, and the gum paste one is not like that. All right, it's been a little while, and the gum paste arms are already stiff in my fingers. They're not limp. I can stick them in, and there you go. All right. The gum paste, you see it's, or the fondant, I'm sorry, you see it's starting to sag a little bit. This stuff, it just isn't made for the fine little thin pieces. Like I put them in and down they go. Whoops, you see that? Okay, that was gum paste that just fell off. It's firm enough. It took that hit and didn't lose its shape. I actually was going to cut that out of my video, but I left it in because I was like, dang. And look, you can see again, the fondant has shrunk down. It's just kind of settling down under its own weight. And the gum paste has stayed taller. I don't know if it's lost any time. Oh, there you go. So it's been about an hour and a half, okay? So an hour and a half, the arms were staying. Our fondant shrunk a little, but there you go, okay? But overall, it wasn't terrible. It was just the arms, really. I'm going to make now a flower. I'm going to make a rose out of fondant and then a rose out of gum paste to show you the difference there. Okay, so now I'm doing fondant. I'm doing everything the same thickness there. The same pure white that doesn't have any color or anything added to it. I tried to knead it as little as possible so I didn't make it too soft. You know, warming it up with my hands is pretty much not an issue because my hands are always icy cold because I am just so full of warm hands, warm heart, cold hands. Isn't that the saying? I'm so full of love or something. I don't know. Anyway, I have cold hands. That doesn't seem to affect things. So I made a teardrop shape. I used my flower cutter as you saw. I flattened off the edges. I added a little bit of water to things in order to make it stick. And then I'm just folding it up around that little teardrop that I made. Just the same way I'd make any rose ever, okay? This is a second layer, the same thing, still fondant. I'm not changing it. It's just a little brush of water. It's very thin. It's not a lot at all because you don't want it to get too wet. I'm folding the petals up again, just like I would for any rose I was going to make. And you can... I don't know if you can tell, for me it was like really squishy. It was kind of annoying, but it held together. It's like, okay, you know, that's a very pretty rose so far, right? Like nothing too wrong with it. Don't know why I'm complaining about, you know, people who use fondant to decorate instead of gum paste. Okay, third layer of flower petals. I'm putting them in, and this is where it really kind of starts to come apart on me a bit. I'm having a hard time getting them to stay against that initial bud that I made. So the outer layer of petals are all kind of like laying on top of each other. So I'm trying to separate them a bit. That's what I'm doing right there. I'm just trying to pull them apart a little so that they have individual petals. It's not just big one lump of petal. Okay, but you can kind of see, I don't know if you can. It was a little floppy and a little limp. And I don't know, it just wasn't the best in the world. So, but I mean, it's not bad, right? It's not bad. So this is gum paste, and again, I made my little teardrop. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I kneaded it for as little as I could to get it smooth, rolled it out, same thickness, same size cutter as before. I'm not doing anything different, so I just cut out 2 of them and then pressed down the edges like I did, add a little bit of water, and then I started wrapping just like I did. Same as before. I'm trying to keep this as even as possible, as fair as possible. And I figured I would do the fondant one first to give it a little more time to set up, since it does have a harder time, it seems. Okay, so once again, you know, folding the petals up just like I did last time. And I don't know if you can really see the difference here, but already they just hold their spot. It's like, oh, you want me to be here? I'll just be here now, because that's what I do. I'm gum paste, la la la. Once again, put my petals up. You saw, I think I showed adding water to it. Just a tiny bit, just a tiny brush of it. Put it around the edges, stretch it out, whatever. Just like the fondant flower, I already said that I cut out the 2 petals, and now I'm going to roll out again, just because that's what I did with the fondant, so there's no cheating. Made 1 more, just like I did with the fondant, keeping it as fair as possible. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to smush out the edges, add a little water, and put it on. And, you know, again, like, fondant is great for its job, but I just don't like to decorate with it. And the way You know, it's not a big difference so far, but there's enough of a difference that if you're making a cake and you really want your decorations to stand out, all those little sags and those little droops and everything, they're going to add up. And especially if people see other cakes that have cleaner, crisper, stronger flowers or decorations, it makes a difference. All right, so just like before, I'm cleaning up my petals a little bit. Although I really didn't have to do anything except the one that kind of smushed when I put it in the holder. So there you go. You can see the difference between the two right there. The petals are staying in shape. You can see the sag on the fondant, geez, on the right side there. And the gum paste just looks better. I don't know. So there you go, guys. I mean, there's just a little brief demonstration of some of the differences. I took this picture today, which was a couple days later, so my snowman, my fondant one, is even more saggy. He's kind of listing to port also. But anyways, this just gives you an idea as far as decorating, what you should do, or why I recommend it. I recommend gum paste, all right? So please check out my other videos. Please like and subscribe. That would be wonderful. As always, guys, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.